everyone out there! It is time for Crazy Kiss Countdown, episode number 6. We're doing a popular CD this time. Woo! We're the Nealeighs.
I'm Janica.
I'm Dad.
I'm Sam. And I'm Luke.
That's right. He is. He's not lying.
I am.
Alrighty. I know that a lot of people count this album, Creatures of the Night, as their favorite album out of all the Kiss albums. Some people do. Some people don't particularly like it, but I know that it is true.
Stupid people. No.
Sam likes this one. Here are some facts about Creatures of the Night.
This album was released on October 13th, 1982 on the record label Casablanca. The producer was Michael James Jackson, Paul Stanley, and Gene Simmons.
This was Ace Frehley's last credited Kiss album until Psycho Circus many years later. He didn't actually have anything to do with this album though.
This album didn't do all that well, like sales-wise. It did get up to number 22 on the UK and Swedish charts though.
What about Finland?
I don't know.
This album was also released in 1985, re-released, I don't know why, but they did. And it had a different cover on it, so hopefully you're looking at that cover right now, if I remember to put it on. You notice that Bruce Kulick's on there for some reason, and they're not in makeup. Yeah. I don't think Bruce Kulick had anything to do with this album either.
Nope.
Unless he secretly played on some of it or something, I don't know.
I think so.
But that's some facts about this album. Now, usually, when we get ready for these countdowns, I give everybody a paper to put their votes on and listen to the album, and they go, oh man, I got too much to do, I can't do this, and they're all complaining and whining, and you know how kids are. But this last week, I gave them Creatures of the Night, and they were all like, yeah, Creatures of the Night! Alright! So I get the feeling that this is going to be good, generally, review. I have a funny feeling.
Strange. Strange ways.
Wrong album. Well, the nostalgic report on this one is that this is another one of those where I don't have a report because at Unmasked I stopped listening to Kiss, and so everything from between there and about when they got back together with the original guys I don't know anything about. So this album came and went and I didn't know anything about it originally, other than I do remember seeing pictures of Eric Carr as the new guy. Now I lived out in the middle of nowhere as a kid, so I didn't have magazines and there wasn't internet and there was fuzzy television channel, and the magazines that I did have were, you know, didn't say anything about what was going on with the guys or what kind of personalities they were or anything. So all I knew was that Peter Criss wasn't in it anymore, and so I was bummed out and thought I'm not even going to go see him live. You know, I was planning to, but I'm not going to because it's not the original guys. I didn't know who Eric Carr was, whether he was good, bad, ugly. Didn't know.
Definitely not ugly.
Well, back then, who knew?
Or
you know?
bad.
So that's pretty much my report about this album. What did you guys think of this album, Majinica?
It was great. I mean, Eric Carr, obviously. Awesome. All the songs on it, I liked. Too close to my face. But
Eric Carr, close to your face.
okay, I'm okay with that. But yeah, all in all, it was probably one of my favorite Kiss albums.
So would you put this, you think, as number 1 or just up there somewhere?
I'm not sure. I can't really decide on just one Kiss album as my favorite. It would be up there though.
Yeah, I would be the same way. I couldn't decide. What do you think, Luke?
Awesome. I mean, yeah.
Make your eye glow.
I can't.
Is it doing it?
Yeah, I mean, all the songs on this album are awesome. I mean, one thing that strikes me is something that you almost wouldn't think would be good is the production, because the production's weird on this album, but
Yeah.
it works. You know, the way the drums are, especially, I think is kind of what sets it apart. And yeah, for some reason, at first thought, in my head anyway, having these gigantic reverby drums would be like, yeah, it's taking up a lot of space, you know. But listen to I Love It Loud on the Smashes and Thrashes and Hits album, which came out at the end of the 80s, where they remixed it and they gated the drums real heavy so that it just kind of sounds normal. Sounds horrible. I mean, it doesn't sound right at all.
A lot of people talk about the drum sound on this and usually how much they like it.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
in line with what you're saying there.
And I find it funny too that Paul talks of this album all the time about how it, you know, put them back where they were supposed to be. He compares this album to Lick It Up, kind of says that they're sister albums, but says this one was clearly better. Which that's...
Yeah, there's debate over that.
Right.
Yeah, do you think they did that just to say, since this was the official first Eric Carr album, just to say, bang everybody, we got a new drummer?
Yeah.
Is that why they did that, do you know?
It could be. I mean, he was on The Elder, but they didn't...
Right.
I mean, they didn't make a big deal out of, well, anything. I mean,
Yeah.
They didn't tour, they weren't pictured inside the album, you know.
Peter Criss was still listed, I think, on that album, isn't he?
No, I think they were saying it was Eric Carr.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
At the time? Okay. I thought it was still, even though it wasn't Peter Criss, I thought he was still listed as a band member
No.
on it.
And Eric Carr's on Killers, too.
Yeah, well, he's on the cover of that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sam?
Pretty much exactly what they said. So I'm just gonna like reword exactly what they said.
Eric Carr, close to your face?
Because I guess one thing though to note, besides that I really liked it, is that it seems like each album kind of has their own feel to them, that like all the songs in each one had. And this is one album I think that I really like the feel to. Like that's how I like Kiss to feel, is kind of like how it all feels in that album. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. But just the way the songs were,
Yeah.
I don't know, I
Well,
like it a
that's,
lot.
I would describe that as color and
Yeah.
temperature that I talk about sometimes, so it's the same sort of thing, I bet.
Mhm.
It makes sense as a bridge, too. I mean, if you think about what Kiss had been, say, on Love Gun versus what they are on Lick It Up, to me, this album seems like the logical middle. It's almost like the old Kiss riffs, the classic Paul Stanley guitar playing, but then when you throw some of Vinnie Vincent's leads in there, not as much as on Lick It Up, where they kind of went more fully in that direction, you know.
Yeah. It still feels like a makeup album, and I've heard him say that this one and Lick It Up could have been either way.
Right.
But to me, it feels like a makeup album. So, last one.
Yeah.
So we just went to a Kiss Expo in Indianapolis, which is about 100 miles from here. We are in Greenville, Ohio right now. Here's a map of where Greenville is so you don't get lost. There it is. Anyways, while we were there, I bought this t-shirt. Finally a Kiss t-shirt that somebody hasn't taken and cut up.
Hi.
Anyways, it got me thinking, what do you guys think, especially Majenica, if Eric Carr was still alive today, do you think he'd be appearing at these expos?
No, he wouldn't, because I would have him in my basement.
He'd be chained up in the basement. You don't even have a basement.
Oh, in the shed.
Okay. What do you guys think?
I would think he would. wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
probably.
I mean, with the way they talk about how good he was to the fans, he'd probably be at all of them.
When did
Yeah.
Kiss Expos like become a thing? Like, was there such thing as a Kiss Expo when Eric Carr was around?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this started when they started doing the band started doing acoustic unplugged sets and had a few little conventions, yeah, and then that turned into the MTV Unplugged thing,
Right.
and then that turned into, I don't know, that's just a guess. But yeah, I think he would be there too. I think he'd be like Bruce, where he's just right there in the people.
Yeah.
He'd probably still be the drummer, I imagine, so things would have been
Yeah,
different for the band, who knows,
that's the other
good
thing.
or ill, but
I would imagine he would be. And that would be interesting too, seeing as what they're doing now with Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer. If Eric Carr hadn't died and Eric Singer had never been part of the equation, would they be doing a reunion tour, and would he be in the cat makeup, or would they have let him do his fox makeup?
yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Would they have ever done the reunion tour?
Right.
Huh.
And if things had gone
Hadn't thought of
bad,
that.
you know, say they fire Peter Criss again, if they had asked Eric back and said, we're going to keep doing the makeup thing, I'm curious if they would have told him, you know, we've got some,
Huh.
this time this round's going to be different. If you come back, you have to be the cat.
Surely they wouldn't have done that.
I would hope not. I mean, that would just, that wouldn't be right.
Since he
Eric
had a
Carr's
character. I mean, Eric Singer didn't have one.
Right.
I don't know. Interesting. Well, we listened to this album, and we voted on the songs from best to worst, and this is how it came out.
In third place was I Love It Loud.
Do you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah!
Ow, that was loud.
Okay. It was written by Gene Simmons and Vinnie Vincent. Which is cool. I didn't know Vinnie Vincent was like...
Yeah, he
great
was a good
songs.
songwriter, they
Yeah.
considered, yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Did you know that he helped them write Unholy?
Yeah, that was years later.
Oh, that's really cool. The lead singer was Gene Simmons. Our score was 22 out of 40. The song fading out at the end and then coming back in before fading out again is an idea meant to resemble the Beatles song Strawberry Fields Forever.
It does.
It's
Not quite as creepy, maybe.
Yeah, not really. Its highest rating was from Magenica at number 2. And its lowest rating was by me at 8.
8?
8!
Surprise.
Next to last song?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I liked every song on that album. It's just that song didn't do as much for me as a lot of the others. I don't know.